C writes, I know similar questions get asked, but I was wondering, why did Batman Begins and Star Trek get sequels to their movies when they have made about as much as Pacific Rim? However, a Pacific Rim sequel is very unlikely, even though it is making ground in international markets. Is it because Batman and Star Trek have source material to work with and or established fandoms?
Once again, fair question. It should be pointed out too at this point that as of now, like, it's been doing, Pacific Rim has been doing quite well, especially in China.
Overseas, yeah.
I've always said that Pacific Rim, because of its budget and its marketing budget and the back end deals they signed and all this kind of stuff, that it was going to have to make around just under $400 million to break even. Well, guess what? They're there. They're at about 385 million, which is right around where I said they would have to be to break even. So I think we can officially say at this point that Pacific Rim, while not a big moneymaker, has broken even. So, I mean, that's a lot better than losing $150 million. But why do films like Star Trek or Batman Begins, let's look at Batman Begins, made roughly the same amount of money. But one of the key differences is that they made Batman Begins for about $50 or $60 million less than they made Pacific Rim for. So it was profitable a long time ago, before the pace of Pacific Rim. But the other key thing to keep in mind is this: when talking about sequels. When talking about sequels, remember, the studios has to ask themselves, if we make another one, can that one make as much or more money? Because the studios are not in the business of trying to break even. And when they look at Pacific Rim, they see, okay, it's got a core audience. It still hasn't made $100 million in North America, which just astounds me. But they say, do we have a big enough audience, and did people like it enough that if we do another one, more people will go out to see it and it will make more money? And I think they have a question mark about that. Because while it's got like a 70% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, not everybody really loved Pacific Rim. Now, I put it in my top 3 favorite films of the summer so far. I know Dennis did too, and so did Schnepp, what we did on Mailbag the other day. But there are a lot of people who had some serious and legitimate complaints. Like I've said myself, even though it's in my top 3 favorite films of the summer, the best writing of Guillermo del Toro, this was not. The best storytelling of Guillermo del Toro's career, this was not.
But great monsters.
But great monsters. It was a great spectacle, right? But a lot of people want more than that, and they didn't get the warm reception. Now, you look at the first Star Trek remake, and you look at Batman Begins. Not only were they successful, not only did they already have pre-existing audiences, people loved those movies. There was actually Oscar buzz for the first Star Trek film. I mean, these were films that had built-in audiences and people loved them, and the studio could sit back and say with confidence, if we make another one of these Star Trek movies, or if we make another one of these Batman Begins movies, we feel confident they will make even more money than the first one did. Whereas I don't know that they have that same confidence with Pacific Rim, nor do I think they should have the same confidence, as much as I loved it, with Pacific Rim. So I think those are the big differences there. Amy Rose, how do you see it?
Brand equity, Batman, Star Trek. I mean, these names, these franchises have so much power. And, it really does come down to budget to grossing. I mean, if Kick-Ass, the reason that first film was so successful is because the budget wasn't that large, and it just kept growing and gaining momentum. And same with Pacific Rim. But it's not a question really of source material here, because Guillermo has no problem. While this might not have been his best script, he has the most incredible, beautiful imagination, and I have great confidence that maybe he would nip the first issues in the bud and kind of take the story to the next. Not like, again, you're seeing this movie because it has the most incredible plot.
Right.
You're seeing it because he's amazing at this. His monsters and his armory of he's just amazing. He's one of my faves. But I definitely think that it just comes down to brand equity. I mean, Batman Begins, that was the first of the Nolan trilogy, and I think that what they could do with this property, and they were right in their predictions. The Dark Knight made even more money. The Dark Knight Rises made even more money. And like Star Trek, while the second one maybe did not make as much as they hoped because it was pretty much on par with the first one, we definitely attributed that to marketing and the way they lacked in that department, and I think they learned a lot from that as well. So I definitely think it comes down to their bread and butter properties, and what it means to have these properties continue to be on the big screen for their thousands and thousands of fans. So I don't think they'll stop anytime soon. And as you mentioned, Pacific Rim is crushing it overseas, and it's not, unlikely to think that a sequel definitely might happen. They might just tone the budget down a little bit, which I know Guillermo wouldn't be too happy about, but you can still make a decent film at $100 million, just saying.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.